Hey there everyone, hope you had a really good 2020 because I know so many people enjoyed that year. Anyways, we're on to the new year now and I figured what better way to start the year than by looking at another mod, which is actually what started this channel. And for the first time ever, we're actually looking at a mod that a user themselves submitted, so kick back, grab a nice big old glass of milk and let's get right into it.
Wow.
Today we're taking a look at the rather plainly named Elven army by Loremaster Corax. Don't let the generic sounding name put you off, this is actually an awesome little mod, and it actually fills in a niche that it was missing for me for a good year, maybe even 2 years now. Basically, the long and short of this mod is that the Wood Elf options for the Wood Elves that got added in by the last DLC, this mod makes them available to Elariel, which if you've played Elariel's campaign, you know she doesn't really actually have access to much. So you might have actually seen a little bit of a preview of this from before, but yeah, basically every unit you can think of from the Wood Elf army gets transferred over to Elariel with this. I know we normally wait till the end of the reviews to talk about compatibility, but I want to bring that up first because the scale of this mod actually ties in really well with that. This mod is right in that beautiful Goldilocks zone where it's not so simple that it's kind of forgettable and irrelevant, but it's not so complex that it drives away a lot of compatibility. In fact, if you looked at my footage, you actually realized that the ranged treemen, for example, also have full compatibility with this, and this mod will unlock the ability to use those ranged treemen with Elariel. It's really tempting to always say that, you know, bigger and more complex and stuff is better, and, you know, I'm even tempted to agree with that statement, but when it comes to something like this, it's really awesome that you can run Elariel, or frankly, any High Elf army, with this mod still in tow without really breaking stuff. You know, typically speaking, the larger and the more complex things get, especially when it's modifying something rather than adding something, the bigger the chances are that it's not going to play nice with other stuff. And like I said, this handles everything else beautifully. And I guess since we jumped the gun on compatibility, we can go ahead and jump the gun on balance too. Honestly, not really all that imbalanced. The Wood Elf stuff is quite nice to have, obviously, especially if you want to use, you know, dedicated Wood Elf armies, which I'll get into in a little while. But Elariel herself doesn't actually really have bonuses, or frankly, none of the High Elf Lords have bonuses for the Wood Elf stuff, which means, yes, you have more options and everything available, but none of it is so flamboyant or over the top that it's gonna steamroll everyone. One little kind of imbalanced thing that I did notice though is that the Wood Elf units gain experience stupidly fast. Like I had a single squad of Waystalkers hit rank 9 within like 2 or 3 battles. Not quite sure what's going on there. I think maybe some of the numbers got, you know, ported over kind of funny, but you know, not the end of the world. And even at rank 9, again, because you can't get any army bonuses for them, they're good, but they eventually do get outclassed by the units anyway, so they're not particularly overpowered in that sense. Alright, but that's all well and good, but sort of what bigger effects does this have on the campaign? This actually makes a surprisingly large difference to the campaign. Elariel was one of the lords that I never really enjoyed using because she's sort of a half measure. Yes, you had access to a couple token Wood Elf units, but they weren't enough to tip the scales into being useful, and you certainly didn't have access to enough of them to justify taking out valuable slots for them. With this mod, however, if you want to, you can legitimately run a straight Wood Elf army if you want to. Or maybe you want to do a bit of a blend, run some Wood Elves tied in with High Elves. Whatever you want to do, wherever the balance is that you want to find, this mod gives you the options to do so. And I find that to be a really loreful, thematic way to play the campaign. And again, because this is so compatible, there's not really a downside doing so, so I guess we'll slot in rather quickly, I guess, now to the conclusion. Should you download and run Elven Army? Yeah, there's absolutely zero reason why you wouldn't run this. There is a couple more things I would love to see down the road in the future, potentially. I would like to see eventually the stats for the Wood Elf units get adjusted so that they're not leveling up gratuitously quickly, and if possible without breaking stuff, I'm not even sure if it is possible, it would be nice to see access to, say, Wood Elf Lords or skills available for Elariel or her Lord options, just because the Wood Elf stuff almost still feels like a tacked on measure, which is CA's fault. I want to make that clear. This has nothing to do with Loremaster Corax, but it doesn't change the fact that when you have, you know, buffed all to hell Sisters of Avelorn, or you can use unbuffed Waystalkers, it's kind of pointless using the latter because the former will dramatically outdamage it. Anyways, that's it for our first video of 2021. I have a really special video coming in next week regarding one of the longest standing myths I have ever seen for Total Warhammer, and we will have another video going up on Friday. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.